Mansfield today on a Tuesday, and it's the time that we go legal with Advocate Lance Brogden. Lance, maybe today is not a bad day to talk about this particular topic because you can't really do it. We're still in level 4 lockdown, amended level 4 lockdown. So the curfews are still in place. Look, you can go into a restaurant now, you can have a meal. They can only use 50% of their capacity, but there's no sale of alcohol. So driving under the influence of alcohol is not really, well, it's impossible to do. Really. So maybe it's a good time to raise it when nobody can do it. You know what I mean?
Do you want to bet?
What does driving under the influence actually mean?
Right. Morning, Jim. Yeah, I'm
Morning.
fine, thanks. How are you?
Shut up. Get on with it.
Right. Hi to all of you out there. So this is it's not a contentious issue. It is just a factual issue. In principle, you may not drive under the influence of alcohol or be influenced by another narcotic of any sort. It is as simple as that. So the question then ongoingly comes up, so how do I know I'm under the influence? Well, there are strict regulations and measures in place that decide that you may not be on a road under the influence of alcohol or under a narcotic drug.
Okay. What happens? What happens? Yeah, I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here. What happens if you are prescribed a drug by a doctor and it's a legal prescription and you take that drug and it has an effect on you? You are then essentially driving under the influence.
Exactly. You're under the influence of a narcotic, whether prescribed or not, and it is your responsibility then. If you look carefully, and people don't do this, if you get a medication and you open it and you look inside, it'll tell you, do not use this while driving, etc., etc. It will impair you. How it's measured is another story, but very important question, Jim. Be careful, guys. Don't do that, because generally, if you're taking a drug of sorts that has been prescribed to you, they do affect you, and even more so with alcohol. So we'll get to that thing. But take care. Rather don't. Okay. It's not you. Nobody's going to stop you and test you for it. But if there's an incident, an accident, and it comes out later, be careful. You'll be held to task.
Okay, here's another one then. Sorry, we're caning you today. You thought it's a good school, but it's a hard school.
Okay. No place for sissies yet.
Yeah, no. What happens if you are just sitting in your seat? You're not driving. You're just sitting there.
Great question. So I'm driving along. I realize I've had a few too many libations, and I just pull over and sit in the car. Well, the law states clearly, if you're sitting in the car and you're under influence, if the engine is running, you're in trouble. Okay, it's regarded that you drove the car there and you are part of the scene. If you ever want to pull that stunt and try and meander your way through that, and I'm not supporting drinking and driving, please don't misunderstand me, but if you ever want to do that, make sure the engine is turned off. The law is very clear. The Act says it. If the engine's running, you're in trouble.
There was an old Eastern Cape story. I love Eastern Cape stories about these two farmers who were driving home and they'd had way too much to drink. And they saw the flashing lights up ahead on the road. And they pulled over and they stopped their car and they both got in the back seat. And eventually one of the cops came over and shone the torch into the car, and he looked to the back seat, and there were these two buggers sitting there. And he knocked on the window, and the one wound down the window. He said, "Who's driving?" He said, "No, Billy was driving, but he saw the police roadblock, and he knew he'd had too much to drink, so he closed the door. He ran off into the pineapple fields. We don't know where he is." Cops drove them home.
Billy, our man.
What is the measure of being under the influence? I mean, what quantity of alcohol would that be?
Okay, Jim. So currently at the moment, it's 0.05 grams per 100 milliliters of blood. That's currently. In the past, it was 0.08, and that is very little alcohol. Just to tell you, it's equivalent to probably 2 normal drinks. About a quarter of one of your drinks, Jim. But so that's about 2 drinks, and in essence, it means you can probably have 1 drink per hour. And the rule of thumb, have 1 in 45 minutes, and then wait and have another. So in essence, rather don't drink at all, because that's a waste of time to have a single every hour. So it is very strict. Currently, that's the game, but I just want to warn you: there is legislation being proposed, and I think it will come in time. There will be 0 tolerance. You will not be able to drink. Another quick point: the 0.05 is for those of us in the public. If you're a professional driver, it's 0.02 grams per 100 milliliters of blood, and that's not even a full drink. So, bottom line, guys, don't drink and drive.
What if I'm suspected of being under the affluence of alcohol?
Indeed.
Yes. Can I refuse to take a breathalyzer?
No, not at all. You cannot refuse to take a breathalyzer or to have your blood taken. It is part of the process, the procedure, and the act. And heads up, guys. If you refuse because one of your mates told you it's breaking in on your privacy and all that, don't listen to that. The punishment for refusing, can be far harsher than being found guilty of driving under the influence. It can involve your license will probably be suspended if you refuse, etc., etc. Even a prison sentence. So please, you cannot refuse. End of story.
But is that breathalyzer test valid in a court of law?
Generally, and around the world, they are not. However, the one we use in South Africa called the Draga test, the Draga breathalyzer test, is acceptable on the condition, Jim, I'm not trying to defend you now, but on the condition, I would ensure that it's properly calibrated, etc., etc., then it is accessible. Yes, it is acceptable, indeed.
What sort of sentence can you expect if you are convicted of drunken driving?
Well, you can get, for a start, up to 6 years, 120,000 rands fine, and you can undoubtedly, depending on various factors, you'll have your driver's license suspended. Guys, you don't want to go there. I promise, you don't want to go there. It's vast implications for your career, your business, your family life. Because then the next time you're driving without your license, which you're going to do, then you have another challenge coming your way. Please be careful.
And I mean, it is so much easier these days with all of the ferrying services that are available.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now, what then, speaking of drunken driving, what then is the difference between that and reckless or negligent driving?
Right, reckless or negligent driving is where you are seen not to be behaving in the way of a reasonable person. I'm not going to do the reasonable man test.
The reasonable man test, yes.
But you're not going to use reasonable care while you're on the road driving your vehicle. Before I forget, Jim, quite important, that the importance of not getting this criminal record. The criminal record will stand in place for about 10 years. So guys, just heads up, and all the people tell you about protection, please guys, don't do that. So it's reckless or negligent driving is when you're not behaving reasonably in the face of the public or out on the road, etc., etc. Also, together with that is wilton or wanton, just disobeying the rules of the road, going through traffic lights, even if you're totally sober, not stopping in a stop street, not adhering to a four-way stop or flashing red lights, etc. All of those are not being reasonable, not playing the game.
What under what circumstances can I be arrested on the spot for reckless or negligent driving?
Right. Okay. So let's clear this one up. So if you're more than 30 kilometers an hour over the speed limit in an urban area, there and then, don't even worry about a fine. You're in trouble. And in a non-urban area, more than 40 kilometers an hour over the speeding limit, So don't say, "Can you give me a spot fine?" Or if that happens, they can arrest you on the spot. There are various other ways as well. Just basic reckless driving, driving across lines, not using your indicators, excessive overloading, driving without a license or fraudulent license or no license disc on your car. All of those are regarded as reckless and negligent driving. One more that people feels nice, you have a fancy car, not to have number plates in the car. Guys, put the number plates in the car. That also falls in the category of reckless or negligent driving.
Okay, finally, how should any driver approach these challenges that you've just been discussing?
Right, I think firstly, the easy way is we're at a period in our life and around the world now where drinking and driving is not accepted. So don't. It's as simple as that. If you've taken medication or if you've been partaking in some entertaining drugs or whatever you're doing, don't get in your car. You're allowed to do your thing, carry on, do it, but don't do that. The bottom line is your whole life is affected, your family's life is affected, and your career. No, many jobs you go and apply for nowadays, especially young people, if you don't have a driver's license, you can't get the job. It's a condition. So, guys, all I'm saying is be careful. If you do get in a situation where you have overstepped the line and you're in trouble, behave. Don't push it too far. Don't lie to your traffic officer. Face the music and get good help, because we all do make mistakes. But this is one you can really try to avoid as far as possible.
That's where we're going to have to leave it for today. Thank you very much, Advocate Lance Brogden, for your input once again into the legal show right here on Mansfield Today. Tomorrow we move medical. We'll be joined by Dr. Vicky Skitter and discussing something that it's a bit of a difficult subject, this one. We're going to be delving into oncology. So please join us for that and spread the word on the show for tomorrow, Medically Speaking with Dr. Vicky Skitter. From all of us here at the Mansfield Today studio, till next time, bye-bye.